Hello there, my name is Douglas V. Gibbs, and I am Mr. Constitution, and I'm here to talk about, well, liberty. And I know it's something that we don't seem to talk about a lot, or we don't seem to understand what are our natural rights, what is liberty, what does the Constitution, what does the Declaration of Independence say about it. And I'm recording this following a shooting in Nashville in which a transsexual individual killed teachers, students, Christians, and then the mother of the transsexual or transgender or whatever the proper term is basically defended the action, and there's a call for violence against those who stand against this all right, so let's stop right there. Doug, where do you stand on the trans? Where do you stand on homosexuality? All that jazz. As a Christian, I believe it's bad behavior. I believe it's damaging to society, all of that. The response from my opposition is, then that must mean that I want to outlaw such activity because they want to outlaw anything they disagree with. Therefore, I must want to outlaw anything I disagree with. And that is the point of what I want to talk about here, liberty. Liberty is an interesting thing. Liberty is sort of like the free will that God has given us. God gave us free will because we should be able to make a decision. True love, God's true love for us, is spelled out in our ability, our authority, our right to reject Him. If we have to love Him, if we have to follow Christ or whatever, well, then it's not truly love. But if we choose to, especially despite the obstacles and the blowback and so on and so forth, then that's truly love. That's what God wants from us is our true love. Well, liberty is similar. Liberty does not exist if you have the opportunity to make the wrong decisions or right decisions, whatever. That's what liberty's about. So in a society where there's a consent to the governed, we consent that we will all follow certain rules, laws that we agree upon. We all have agreed that at the intersection, red means stop, green means go, and yellow means whatever we decide it means, depending on how far from the light we are. And that's a part of having a society that recognizes that we all agree on certain rules. However, at the same time, we have liberty. I have the liberty to gun it when that light turns yellow. Now, there may be consequences for that action. That's my decision. I'm free to make that decision. There may be a penalty if the light turns red before I get into the intersection. There may be a penalty if someone's going through the intersection because they turn green or whatever and I'm there. There's all kinds of possible penalties. Liberty also is when it comes to your personal decisions, making your own decision, like wearing something on your face or whether or not you get poked by something. That is supposed to be your decision. It's like I used to tell people during a certain time period. You may believe that's the right thing to do. That's fine. I believe that it's not. I'm not going to ridicule you for following that decision. It's your liberty. Don't ridicule me for not following that decision. Now we get into the sexual activity of behavior of people. As an adult, if that's what you want to do privately, if that's what you want to do personally in your life, if you believe that cutting off a body part or trying to refashion a body part or whatever you want to call it is what's best for you and you want to do that, there should be no laws against you doing such a thing. But that doesn't mean that there should be laws forcing other people to accept it or allowing you to push your ideas on other people's children. And it comes down to natural rights. See, natural rights are very interesting. Our rights is not something that must be guaranteed or protected by government or the Constitution. Our rights are something that already belongs to us. God gave them to us. But the language used in the Declaration of Independence regarding our rights, I believe, is very interesting. And I'm not going to get into a debate as to what some people think certain words meant. I'm going to tell you what I hear and what I think, and you can determine what you want from there. So it says, among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Pursuit of happiness replaced property. There was a fear that people would think that if property was listed there, that it would guarantee that you must have property. But also, pursuit of happiness has other interesting things about it. Notice it doesn't say you have a right to be happy. You have a right to pursue your happiness. Someone says, oh, well, that's the reason why I should be able to marry whoever I want, blah, 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 pursuing my happiness. Right. But when it comes to our rights, our natural rights, government's role is not to force what you think is your right into place. It's to make sure there's no obstacles in the way of your right. But you still need to pursue it. And rights are fine until rights clash. As I like to tell my classes, I have a right to swing my arms back and forth. But the moment I get closer to you, you have a right not to be punched in the nose. So I'm supposed to be responsible with my right to swing my arms. I'm not supposed to force you to accept that I want to swing my arms, especially in your vicinity. But at the same time, government shouldn't be making laws saying I can't swing my arms. Government's job is not to get involved in whether or not we pursue our happiness. Government's job is what happens when our pursuit of happiness or our rights clash with each other. We have a right to go through that intersection. Remember that red, green, yellow thing. But my right stops at the edge of somebody else's bumper. When there's a collision of our right to go through that intersection, now government's got to get involved. They investigate, they decide who's at fault, and so on and so forth. Otherwise, it's none of government's business. Same thing when it comes to, me swinging my arms. Swing your arms. Right not to be punched. I have a right to swing my arms. None of government's business. And we should be reasonable with each other. Hey, swing your arms over there. Okay, I'm a reasonable guy. I'll swing my arms over there if it makes you nervous. We're supposed to be reasonable with each other, responsible with our rights. But if I decide that I want to swing my arm a certain area and you get in the way and I punch you in the nose, guess what? Now there's a clash of rights. Government gets involved to investigate, determine what's wrong. Or maybe having a cake baked a certain way. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. You don't have a right to have it baked exactly the way you want. You have a right to pursue it. And you go to a particular baker and they say, well, gosh, I don't offer that product. It's not government's job to force that business to offer that product, especially if it's against a right, such as maybe a religious right. But I need to pursue my happiness, says the person who wants their cake. Right. And surely there are bakers out there somewhere who will bake your cake. Pursue it where you can reach that without clashing with somebody else's rights. Find someone whose rights it's not being clashed when it comes to making that particular cake. Or I want to marry certain people, and I should force that pastor to, no. Because if it's against his religious belief, he has a religious freedom, a right to his religious belief there, then he's entitled by his right of having a right given to him by God not to perform that marriage. But guess what? In this day and age, there's going to be someone out there who is licensed to perform that. Pursue, find, and then have it done. Well, gosh, Doug, I couldn't find anybody. Okay, then maybe that community needs to find a person who's willing to get licensed, that's willing to do that. It's called a free market. Hey, new market. All kinds of people want to get married. What a great opportunity for someone who, I guess, wants to perform those kinds of marriages. I think those marriages are wrong, but I don't think there should be a law against them. But there should be a law against forcing somebody to perform them. The problem is liberty. Liberty says, hey, I've got my choice. I've got my rights. I shouldn't have to be forced to do something. It should be my choice. Well, gosh, I believe that I'm this stuck in the body of that, and I want to mutilate my body to be more in tune with that. Okay, fine. As an adult, as someone who has reasonably thought it out, you can make that decision. However, recognize there's consequences. And other people are not going to have to be forced to accept it. Well, gosh, that's horrible. That's mean. Fine, don't hang out with those people. You made a choice they disagree with. They shouldn't be forced to agree, or they shouldn't be forced to participate in your decision. That's their decision. Liberty. And then when we talk about children, well, children in school, they have to get permission from their parents to get an aspirin from the nurse because they're not capable of deciding whether or not that is, because their minds haven't developed, they've not gone through the life experiences yet, and their parents are the ones that are their guardians. Some parents make right decisions, some make wrong decisions. It's not for us to determine how they're supposed to raise their children. By the same token, it's also not for an entity like a school to go behind the parents' backs. The child's unable to make the decision. They're not to the point where they can reason yet, and their parents are their guardians. Now, obviously, there's going to be extreme situations where the parents are very abusive. That's the reason why you have CPS. I hate the fact that Child Protective Services has what basically anti-constitutional unlimited powers that violate the Fourth Amendment all the time, and the Fifth Amendment, and the Sixth Amendment. But that's a different discussion for a different time. But in the end, of course there's exceptions. Of course there's situations. It's like when I talk about abortion. I believe that's the murder of a child. So what about rape and incest? Well, incest is such a small amount, I don't even know if it's worth the conversation. I know children of rape, their mother is very happy they kept that child. It was a good thing it came out of something horrible. So no, I don't think there should be abortion based on rape either. But there are going to be, well, Doug, what about this situation or that situation where, to save the mother's life? Well, that's not an abortion. That's a medical procedure to save the woman's life. But here's the other thing. Once again, liberty. Us individually have liberty, so do states, or at least they're supposed to. See, the way the Constitution is written is abortion is not in the Constitution. Trans whatever is not in the Constitution. Sexuality is not in the Constitution. So guess what? Congress can't make any laws regarding those things. Why? Because the states, like you and I, have the liberty to decide whether or not they make laws on those things. No federal interference is up to each state. Well, gosh, Doug, what if my state's doing something I don't like? Don't live there. Or fight to change it. Or put up with it and shut up. And the wonderful thing about having 50 states is somewhere there's a state that's going to agree with you if you want to go there. See, it's all about choice. It's all about liberty. That's what liberty is about. Liberty is not about forcing someone to accept something or forcing someone to champion something or celebrate something. It's about letting people or states in certain situations make their own decisions. And if you don't like the decision, don't hang out with them or don't live there. Certain states should be allowed to be red or blue or whatever. I'm not into the colors so much because I'm a constitutionalist. As I get older, the more I advance in life, the less I like the party system. I recognize it's necessary. We do it naturally. Federalist 10 is a great example talking about that. But it comes down to decisions. It comes down to liberty. And guess what? Change happens in society. I get that. But you don't want change for the sake of change. And you don't want change that's pushed by government. If the culture changes, if society changes, and it's not good, well then as a member of that culture, as a member of that society, you have a choice. You can be influential to move it back in a different direction. Or you can put up a shut up or whatever. Our culture is changing. I blame Christians and the church and pastors for allowing it to change. I think we should move it back in a better direction. But I don't think it should be done by law. Well, you're not allowed to be anti-Christian. No. We need to do it through the culture. can't get our political house in order if we don't have our religious house in order. We can't even get our churches working properly. How are we going to get our culture working properly? Once again, liberty. We should have the freedom to operate within those parameters. So liberty, change, all of that works together. And the way liberty works is not that government is there to force people to accept a right or force people to abide by a right. Government's there to remove the obstacles so that you may pursue your right. And if your right is difficult to pursue, so be it. But it shouldn't be because of government. Hopefully this helps a little bit with liberty and change and some of the pressing issues in our world today. Thank you for watching. My name is Douglas V. Gibbs, Mr. Constitution, politicalpistachio.com, douglasvgibbs.com. See over here. Subscribe. I will continue to bring you videos as I can. I appreciate all of you that help out. What I do does take funding, so if you want to donate, you want to help out, douglasvgibbs.com, politicalpistachio.com. Hit the donate button. Every quarter, I have $4,000 goes in one radio show, another radio show on KPRZ. It's a weekly amount. The one on KMET, which Saturdays from 1 to 3 Pacific, KMET1490am.com, that one. I pay quarterly. I pay so that they can't say, get involved with what I say. It's my show. I paid for it. So that I can have the liberty to say what I want. If I get hired by a station or a network, why? They'll have the liberty to dictate the terms. I'd rather have the liberty to say what I want to say. And of course, there's always other issues going on too. So thank you for your support. Thank you for your attention. United we stand. Combined we kick butt. God bless America, my friends. God bless you. Let's turn this culture around. Let's use our liberty to win back our country. Let's use our liberty also to make sure that government doesn't obstruct our access to our rights. God bless. We'll see you next time.